Well, a very good evening to you and welcome to the most comprehensive bulletin in the country. This is certainly KTN Prime.
Yes, thank you for joining us this Thursday evening. William Silla is our sign language interpreter. Now, quite a few confrontations in the news tonight. We've got CORD versus Jubilee. We've got senators versus governors, but let's start off with the National Assembly, which turned chaotic this evening as Jubilee and CORD members engaged in verbal exchanges, which at some point actually degenerated into open insults.
Now, these exchanges began when Majority Leader Aden Duale stated that CORD and the Somali militia group Al-Shabaab was speaking exactly the same language about the presence of KDF in Somalia.
Here's what it was like.
We demand to be treated with respect, with equality, with dignity as provided by the Constitution. We can't be chased all the time. And Honorable Duale, even now, Madam Speaker, if you will please indulge me for a second. I have waited, please, because I'm feeling it in my heart. The next time I'll blow up. Madam Speaker, the last time I almost threw a glass at the Speaker. Madam Speaker, I am very honest.
Say it now, I'll say it tomorrow, I'll say next year, that the CORD coalition and the Al-Shabaab looks like they speak the same language. Madam Chair, if you allow me.
Next order. Honorable Majority Leader, your pronouncements are totally out of order. They are totally out of order. We cannot, honestly.
What's wrong with you? No, but this is not, don't be silly, man. What are you doing? We are members of parliament. No, stop it. Stop it. Who are you?
Honorable Jakoyo, can you address the House? You are not addressing.
Al-Shabaab has called for the withdrawal of KDF. CORD has called for the withdrawal of KDF. You are speaking the same language.
Once you rule somebody out of order, he must withdraw. It is on record that we are a terrorist party, Madam Speaker.
The honorable member.
And the least you could have done was to compel him to withdraw that aspersion and apologize. Since he did not, Madam Speaker, I am on a point of order which you have given me. Let me set the record straight.
Honorable Jakoyo.
Madam Speaker, it is Honorable Duale who is trading in Chakol using the Kenyan military in Somalia. This is known. Madam Speaker, a terrorist cannot call innocent people terrorists. He is the one who is on record.
Now, Honorable Jakoyo, is what you are saying any different? Is what you are saying any different, Honorable Jakoyo?
Some very dramatic scenes there. Wilson, I have a sneaky suspicion we'll be seeing some of that on Mock the Week.
I have a very strong feeling about that as well.
Well, it is still a serious situation, and actually what we're talking about in our big queue this evening, we'd like to ask you whether you feel that the animosity between the members of parliament actually reflects the true relationship between Kenyan citizens.
You can get us on SMS. 22155 is the SMS number, or you can tweet me at Wilson_Mburu or at Kachungira at KTN Kenya, hashtag BQ, and we'll of course continue sampling some of your views as the bulletin continues, and we'll have a poll result at the end of this live newscast.
And moving on, the Senate Committee on Labour and Social Affairs has summoned the Cabinet Secretary for Labour, Kazungu Kambi, and COTU Secretary General, Francis Atwoli, in a move to forestall the impending COTU strike. And as KTN's Ian Wafula reports, the standoff is creating quite some jitters across the country.
Even as COTU's rivals Pusetu prepare to sit down on Friday with the NSSF board over the NSSF Act 2013.
For the union makes us strong.
COTU's war with the Labour Cabinet Secretary continued to draw in supporters and opponents in equal measure. The COTU affiliates in Eldoret spoke in solidarity with their Secretary General Francis Atwoli.
Iyo strike ya tarehe 4 bado iko. We are not going to call it off. Kazungu Kambi whatsoever has no powers to decide for us as employees, as workers, who to nominate to represent us in NSSF.
But in Mombasa, the Council of Imams and Preachers of Kenya termed the calls for the strike as selfish and a waste of time. In the meantime, the Senate Committee on Labour is seeking to thaw the ice between Atwoli and Kambi. They have summoned the two and called on COTU to put their strike plans on hold.
This is not a good environment
for the employers and employee relationship.
As far as this strike is concerned, that we want to appeal to KOTU to delay this action. And in the same breath, we would also want to call upon the minister to find ways of engaging the social partners.
Both the Central Organization of Trade Unions and Labour Cabinet Secretary Kazungu Kambi are set to argue out at the Industrial Court tomorrow over whether the court has the mandate to reinstate Jacqueline Mugo and Francis Atwoli. Ian Wafula, KTN, Nairobi.
Let's move on. The German tourist was shot dead this evening in Mombasa's Old Town area. The female tourist was in the company of a Ugandan counterpart at the Mlango wa Papa area when gunmen fired at them, killing the German on the spot. The Ugandan is said to have rushed himself to the Coast General Hospital where he is receiving treatment for gunshot wounds. The man has said they were sightseeing when the three men attacked them from behind. An official of the Old Town Community Policing says the lady has been identified as Christine Tester. Police have so far declined to comment on that incident. Tourism Cabinet Secretary Phyllis Kandie has condemned the attack, saying the government will continue to do everything humanly possible to protect the lives of Kenyans and the visitors. Only 3 weeks ago, a Russian tourist was killed in the same area while she was touring Fort Jesus.
And the Coalition for Reforms and Democracy has officially removed Kilifi North MP Gideon Mungaro as the minority whip in the National Assembly. In a letter by a minority leader, Francis Nyenze, to Speaker Justin Muturi on Thursday, that's today, CORD replaced Mungaro with Wundanyi legislator Thomas Mwadegu. However, the opposition coalition is not out of the woods yet. KTN's political editor Ben Kitili talked to Mwadegu, who is out of the country, and the Wundanyi MP has declined the position, saying he wasn't consulted.
Yet another twist in a fast-moving narrative at the courthouse, and the opposition coalition has now cracked the whip on its coast members of parliament. CORD has formally removed Kilifi North MP Gideon Mungaro from the position of minority whip in the National Assembly, replacing him with vocal Wundanyi MP Thomas Mwadegu. On Thursday morning, House Speaker Justin Muturi received a letter from Minority Leader Francis Nyenze effecting the change, which was arrived at during CORD's parliamentary group meeting Tuesday. The letter, which is dated July 23rd, indicates that Mwadegu is to take over immediately. The letter quotes parliamentary standing orders saying that the duty of designating the position of minority whip rests on the shoulders of the minority leader. Consequently, Mungaro also loses his position in the all-important House Business Committee. However, CORD's problems are far from over. Sources say the supporters of Gideon Mungaro at the coast are planning to pressure Mwadegu to reject the appointment. Mwadegu is currently on an official visit to India. The coast MPs allied to CORD form an integral part of the minority coalition in both the Senate and National Assembly. However, cracks are seemingly threatening that once unshakable unity by the coastal leaders.
It is not fair to constantly undermine a political cause and constantly come and make allegations that a region is being victimized.
We assure the people of the coast that this decision takes into consideration the best interest of the coast region and the coalition as well.
This comes just a day after another group of coast leaders demanded Mungaro's reinstatement. 6 Jubilee MPs led by Majority Deputy Leader Naomi Shaban were also present at the meeting.
Wewe unataka kuchezea ile timu nyingine na jazi yetu, so tumekwambia tafadhali rudisha jazi zetu, rudisha buti yetu. Alafu kama unataka kucheza ile timu nyingine, kama watakukit, let them kit you.
It remains to be seen if this is Mungaro's dead end in his role to marshal CORD MPs. This could also dent the so-called coast unity, which could in turn work to the advantage of the Majority Jubilee coalition. Ben Kitili, KTN.
Now, the news that the Kenya National Police Service Commission had appointed a task force to audit the recent police recruitment exercise came as a relief to thousands of hopefuls. These include graduates who had been waiting for this very opportunity. A group of graduates that has banded together under the name Concerned Patriots now says its members were not unseated despite the fact that they hold degrees in criminology, forensics and other related fields. Wilkis Tanyabwa has their story.
There is no fancy hotel room to meet in. Their funds will not stretch that far. Instead, this group meets in the wide open grounds of Nairobi's Uhuru Park and put their heads together to puzzle over a question whose answer has so far evaded them. Just how can they secure jobs in the police service with their academic qualifications? Every member of this group turned up for the police recruitment exercise. None was successful, but everyone here holds a university degree in a relevant field. Yona Lieta graduated from Egerton University last year with a degree in criminology. This he thought would give him a leg up when he tried out for the police service in Kendo Bay. But things didn't go as planned.
They asked us, who told you we needed this degree line? So they dismantled that line, so we joined the other lines, the word lines. So I was number 8. Then they came and chose number 1 to 5 from each word to go for the medical tests.
He would leave a dejected young man.
Supposed to take 1 from the administration police with a degree, then 1 for the Kenya Police regular with a degree. At the end of the day, no one was taken.
His cry echoed by other members of this group. Some studied forensics, others criminology. Some come from humble families and made great sacrifices to send them to school. And each can see his dream slipping through his fingers.
Tried the police, they tell me maybe I'm overqualified or something. So I'm wondering, this criminology thing, this security studies that we do we really have to do
The recently concluded police recruitment exercise, which saw 10,000 recruits selected, was riddled with allegations of corruption, nepotism and favoritism. In the face of several complaints, the National Security Parliamentary Committee has launched a probe into the exercise. It is a move that has reawakened the hopes of this group of graduates. Their concerns aired, their resolutions made, they bid each other goodbye, hoping that the next time they meet, their luck will have changed. Wilkis Tanyabwa, KTN.
Well, from that, let's talk about county finances. The Council of Governors has cautioned that county governments are broke when services may grind to a halt by the end of this month. The governors say that 2 crucial bills that allow disbursement of budget funds to counties are delayed in Parliament. But, as Patrick Amimo tells us now, the Senate's Committee on Finance insists that the governors have no reason to panic as they still have plenty of money in their accounts.
The Council of Governors convened a crisis meeting to discuss the delayed disbursement of this year's budget reallocations to counties. They maintain this will affect service delivery in the 47 county governments. County bosses are concerned that services may soon grind to a halt if the money is not disbursed urgently.
Services at the counties are now facing a crisis, and unless something is done within the next 7 days, there may be even no salaries in a number of counties next week. We are appealing to all the assemblies, the county assemblies, the National Assembly, and the Senate to each do their part to avoid the pain and the suffering Kenyans are likely to face.
In April this year, Senate Majority Leader Kindiki Kithure said the Senate will only debate the Division of Revenue Bill after the National Assembly finishes with it. Both the Division of Revenue Bill and the County Allocation Revenue Bill were supposed to have been debated and passed by both houses by June 30th. The Senate Finance Committee has told governors to hold their horses, claiming county governments still retain funds from last year's budget kitty.
Most counties still have sufficient balances in their respective county revenue funds that can be applied under Section 134 to pay salaries and other essential expenditures, and therefore there is no crisis really.
There is no money which is left uncommitted, which can be used to pay, for example, salaries. And usually, that is why even for the national government, at the end of the financial year, they have to begin another new year, and therefore there has to be new money.
Speakers of the 47 counties have moved to court over the budget stalemate to contest a decision by the Commission on Revenue Allocation to reduce their budget expenses. County assemblies are strongly opposed to budget ceilings imposed by the Control of Budget and the Commission on Revenue Allocation on salaries, allowances, gratuity and mileage allowances. The MCS won the High Court to quash circulars by the CRA and Control of Budget between April 22nd and July 16th, asking them to review the budgets. They argue demands to rework the budgets would contravene the Public Finance Management Act, as they will be operating outside the timeline set therein. But the Senate's Finance Committee wants to see some order in county budgets.
We therefore want to urge the Control of Budget to remain firm, urge the governors not to be shaken, and appeal to MCS that if they are not satisfied with the provision of the Constitution that gives CRA the power to make those recommendations, Senate is busy working.
Members of county assemblies have been accused of misusing monies meant for development on unnecessary foreign trips, but governors have come to their defense, maybe opening another avenue for tough war between governors and the senators. Patrick Amimo, KTN, Nairobi.
Let's move on to a heart-wrenching story. A young boy whose leg was amputated after he was struck by a bullet has been discovered to have yet another bullet lodged in the remaining leg.
4-year-old Ali Mohammed lost his right leg in the aftermath of the killing of businessman Shahid Bhatt 2 weeks ago.
And as Ferdinand Omondi now reports, that the discovered cartridge may help reveal whether it was the police or criminals that shot him.
Little Ali Mohammed has been spending the last few days in this mood. It has nothing to do with the amputated leg. It's the other leg which the family thought was fine, but which his mother later discovered made Ali very irritable whenever it was disturbed.
Kila nikimshika iliguu wapiga kelele walia. Ndio jana nikamwambia daktari, huyu kila nikimshika iliguu walia. Hata Jumapili alilia sana, chakula akakataa kula.
Hospital medics then discovered the child was averse to putting the right leg down. It was then that a decision was made to take him for an X-ray, where they found bullet fragments in the right leg.
The child was complaining of a lot of pain, severe pain from the joint. So when we informed the doctor, he said we do the X-ray, which we did. It showed like this. There was a particle inside on the X-ray. So the doctor took the child for an emergency surgery, removed this piece of fragment, and then today we've done the check X-rays, and these are the films now.
It is suspected that the bullet which destroyed his left leg is the same one that passed through and lodged itself inside the right. The biggest fragment has been removed and is in custody of Bomu Hospital. Now a human rights organization wants the state to use this new evidence to determine who exactly shot Ali.
The next course of action, of course, is to take this piece of evidence and forward it to the Independent Police Oversight Authority so that they can carry out investigations and confirm whether or not this bullet is from a police gun.
Ali sustained his injuries 2 weeks ago when unknown people killed businessman Shahid Bhatt in Changamwe. Police say the escaping gunman shot Ali, who was riding in a separate pickup with his uncle and 2 others. But the survivors insist it was the police who in fact shot at the pickup in what might have been a case of mistaken identity. Some fragments still remain in Ali's leg, but his handlers at the hospital expect the right leg will remain intact. This latest discovery is an insult to injury for a family that was still grappling with the reality that their small boy would grow up with one leg. Yet the ultimate suffering is being borne by the small boy himself, an innocent victim of a crossfire he wasn't supposed to be involved with in the first place. Ferdinand Omondi, KTN, Bomu Hospital, Mombasa.
Such a painful story that is. Now, the Ministry of Health has launched the Kenya Health Sector Referral Guidelines to streamline the use of Kenya's referral hospital. The new strategy is aimed at addressing the crisis of people congesting the highest referral facilities while ignoring lower-level facilities that could provide the very same services. But what does this mean for you? KTN's Sharon Bomany reports.
Kisii Teaching and Referral Hospital is a regional referral hospital covering southern Nyanza, Transmara and parts of Rift Valley region with a catchment population of over 6 million people. Like many other referral hospitals across the country, it is creaking under the weight of congestion.
Our wards are very congested. I want to give us an example of the male medical ward, where we have 25 beds, but most of the times you have 200% bed occupancy.
The biggest problem, it has now emerged, is that people rush to the referral hospitals because they know they will get all the services they need, ignoring lower-level hospitals near them.
They tend to come here direct, thereby congesting the facility and denying those patients who may benefit from this facility those services that they should have gotten from this particular facility.
The referral strategy and guidelines launched by the Ministry of Health is meant to create an efficient referral system and promote linkages across the different levels of care in the public and private sector.
When we look at this strategy, the way we've been told, the way we know, referral can be down, up, or up, down.
A challenge to the ministry would be to improve the service providers' capacity to offer services from the lowest levels of healthcare facilities.
If we are referring a patient from level 1 to 2 or from level 3 to 4, are the facilities we are referring the patient to, are they in a position to give out the service we intend to?
Each level of healthcare has a given set of equipment and facilities they need to have in order to offer those services that are required for them.
The referral strategy aims to manage 4 key movements within the health sector. First is client movement, dealing with the actual patient seeking healthcare. Second is on expertise movement, which would involve the movement and facilitation of healthcare providers to be able to reach patients in need of care. Third is specimen movement, involving the movement of samples for investigative purposes. And lastly, the movement of client parameters, an indirect referral involving the movement of a patient's information for supportive diagnosis at higher healthcare levels. The strategy and guidelines will on a pilot program be launched in 10 counties. Sharma Mani, KTN.
And Algerian aviation officials have confirmed that a plane operated by Air Algeria carrying 116 people from Burkina Faso to Algeria's capital has crashed over northern Mali.
Flight AH5017 disappeared from the radar 50 minutes after takeoff over northern Mali, and this was after heavy rains were reported.
And as Linda Ogutu reports, news of the crash has caused jitters, coming just a week after a Malaysian plane with 298 people on it was brought down in Ukraine.
According to Algerian aviation officials, Air Algeria flight crashed on Thursday en route from Ouagadougou in Burkina Faso to Algiers with 116 passengers and crew members on board. There are few indications of what might have happened to the aircraft or whether there are casualties. 2 French fighter jets based in the region have been dispatched to try and locate the airliner that went off radar 50 minutes after takeoff. According to government officials in France and Burkina Faso, the MD-83 plane went off radar in Gao in northern Mali after heavy rains were reported. The plane that had been missing for over 4 hours before its disappearance was made public is said to have sent its last message asking the Niger Air Control to change its route because of heavy rains in the area. Burkina Faso's transport minister said 50 French nationals were among those on board, along with 24 Burkina Faso nationals, 6 Lebanese, 5 Canadians, 4 Algerians, 2 Luxembourg nationals, 1 Swiss, 1 Nigerian, 1 Cameroonian, and 1 Malian. This comes a day after more than 40 people lost their lives when a Taiwanese Trans-Asia Airways flight crashed after making a failed emergency landing in Taiwan. Stormy weather has been blamed for that crash. News of the missing Algerian plane also comes exactly a week after a Malaysian Airlines plane was brought down in Ukraine with 298 people on board. It is believed that a surface-to-air missile system used by both Russia and Ukraine brought down the plane, though it is still not clear who fired that missile. Another Malaysian Airlines flight 370 disappeared on the 8th of March 2014, and a multinational search for it has not yielded much to date. Linda Ogutu, KTN Prime.
Now, Lusumu Bridge in Mumias is now considered a death trap because numerous accidents have been witnessed here.
But residents say that from where they sit, there may be dark, unnatural forces causing the regular accidents on that bridge.
KTN's Francis Ontoma examines the twists.
The cascading waters of River Lusumu washing down below, and above the water stands a bridge, the Lusumu Bridge, so revered and heaped with mystery. This is Mumias Musanda Road. At this point, so many lives have been lost. Residents say a week hardly goes by without something strange happening right here, and the tales are baffling.
Hawezi kuchukua mta. Karibu miaka 2-3 utasikia fulani apotea. 2-3 fulani apotea. Hii lana ilianza zamani sana. Kanza kali.
Hapo unasikia tu masauti usiku, sasa mwanaume paka ingize baridi. Ibidi tu mwanaume tena yake vidole kwa masikio sasa.
We set out on a mission to go deep into a story many will love to tell just in whispers. Those we meet say many have disappeared, never to be found again. In 1986, something happened to Athman Wangara, an incident that has stuck in his memory.
Kitu nilichoona mbele yangu tena ni huyo mzee ambaye nilikisia kwamba nilikuwa nishampiga dafrau. Wakati huu ako katikati ya daraja, amaangalia upande wangu wa kushoto, lakini amesimamia mguu mmoja na mguu wa pili anatumia mkongojo kupiga hizi guardrails, chuma kando ya barabara.
This discussion has an even more interesting twist. 83-year-old Ramadhan Nyangweso is a Wanga elder. His musings tell of a place plagued by bad omen.
Walikenga hiyo taracha walikuwa wamuke ya. Walikuwa naita mtu mmoja anaitwa Abamukabo. Sasa mtu mmoja alitoka kwa hiyo mfunje akaanguka kwa hiyo pahari.
Exorcism aside, could the tragedies on this bridge be simply as a result of its ridiculously poor state? The guardrails are missing and the passage is narrow, like a tragedy waiting for its victims.
Ingewezekana watu tengenezee hii na hizi ajali zimalizike.
The tales of Lusumu Bridge linger somewhere between African beliefs and hard reality.
And so, is it a bridge of mystery or just a mere notion? Francis Ontoma at the River Lusumu in Mumias.
Well, a bit of a mystery there. I guess you could call it a bridge over troubled waters.
No comment.
Well, the Standard Media Group and the county government of Taita Taveta are in the process of finalizing an agreement that will see the group offer publicity on battlefield tourism in the county.
Now, the agreement set to be signed next week will see the county featured on the group's TV, radio, online and newspaper platforms.
Standard Group CEO Sam Shillay said that battlefield tourism is a unique form of tourism that's yet to be embraced in the country.
And the war in East Africa, the First World War in East Africa started in Taita Taveta when the Germans crossed the border and invaded Kenya, the colony of Kenya, through Taita Taveta. We are considering a partnership to promote battlefield tourism. As you are aware, Kenya has been marketed in tourism as a destination for wildlife, the Big Five, and of course the tourism at the coast, beach tourism. I think what the county government of Taita Taveta is starting is a very noble initiative to promote battlefield tourism.
The county government of Taita Taveta is doing this because the East African campaign of the First World War actually started at Taveta on the morning of 15th August 1914. That's where the first shot was fired. by Mr. Hula Fontaine when the Germans had crossed to this British South Africa. So our commemorations are going to start from that day, but they will go on for a period of about 4 years, just like the other countries.
And now let's take a look at some of the other stories from the counties.
In Uasin Gishu County, St. George's Boarding and Day Primary School in Eldoret is the first beneficiary of a girls' dormitory donated through a ALSEC and ALSEC group of companies. The campaign, dubbed Your Dreams Could Come True initiative, seeks to improve housing facilities for institutions across the country and to offer an innovative, affordable building technology.
Whatever invest in education, it is the best investment of the businessman or any investor.
And finally, Nairobi Governor Dr. Evans Kidero has launched the online payment for parking fees for all public service vehicles in the county. The e-payment system will save matatu operators from going physically to City Hall to pay for parking. The system also allows for rent payment for those living in county houses through a mobile cash transfer system. The move aims at reducing corruption and improving efficiency and accountability in revenue collection in Nairobi County.
The reason why we are launching this is to make doing business easy. Last month we launched the platform for the others, but today we're doing it for you.
Could count against you when you next visit your bank seeking a loan, as credit reference bureaus develop tools to collect credit information from even utility providers to calculate your credit worthiness. Adelaide Changole has more on this story.
The Metropole Credit Referencing Bureau is unveiling a new tool that will rate the credit worthiness of organizations or individuals and will be used to determine the interest rate to be charged to an individual based on their probability of defaulting.
Credit scoring will help the customers know their risk profile and how their loans will be priced, but also it will empower them with tools to negotiate for better rates.
Dubbed Crystal Ball, the tool gives individuals a Q score that will range from 10 points for those with limited information and will increase towards 100 points as information is collected from a variety of sources, among them banks and pay TV providers. The firm will also tap manufacturing companies as it seeks to establish a clear credit history.
But we are going beyond that to go to the credit-only microfinance institutions, development finance institutions, SACCOs, utility providers like water companies, electricity companies, DSTV.
From this information, Metropole will give a credit score which will range from 200 to 900 points depending on how likely an individual is to default. Those whose rating falls below 400 points will get a default rating and will not be eligible for loans.
Once you hit a score of 750 and above, then you are eligible to start getting preferential treatment from any lender that you approach.
The new tool will be rolled out from 15th August and is part of efforts to increase information sharing between financial institutions in a bid to create a distinction between good borrowers and bad ones and provide differentiated rates for both. By availing the full breadth of information on an individual or an organization's credit history, the new tool from Metropole will allow borrowers with a good score to benefit from their prudent behavior, while leaving those with a bad score to suffer the consequences. Adelaide Changole, KTN Business.
Now, power producer Kengen is set to increase output at its Ngong wind power farm by 20.4 megawatts following construction of 24 new turbines to be commissioned mid-next month. This will bring the power unit's total contribution to the national grid to 25.5 megawatts. The farm commenced expansion of the plant in March 2013 under two separate contracts for design, supply, installation, testing and commissioning of wind turbines, each producing 850 kilowatts. The expansion was jointly funded by the government of Kenya, Belgium and Spain at a cost of 1.6 billion shillings.
Ngong wind farm will be generating about 25 megawatts, which it will be injecting to the grid at 66 kV. Currently, the 5.1 megawatts go to the grid at 11 kV.
National Chamber of Commerce is looking for a fresh start following years of mismanagement that almost brought down the once mighty institution. The Chamber will be launching a new corporate identity on Friday, but how exactly is it going to fit in the new vibrant private sector-driven economy? Philip Keitani has the details.
In the mid-80s and early 90s, the Chamber of Commerce and Industry was the first point of call investors made. But lack of oversight structures and years of mismanagement threatened to bring down the Chamber, which eventually lost its place in Kenya's trade talks. But according to its new chairman, Kiprono Kitoni, the Chamber is back on its feet and ready to reclaim its lost glory.
We've been able to secure donor funding that enabled us to retrench the entire establishment. We had a complement of staff that were not being paid salaries on time, some of them having served the Chamber for up to 40 years.
The Chamber of Commerce is positioning itself as the go-to agency in private sector trade talks. The Chamber, through its chairman and various directors, has been part of President Uhuru Kenyatta trade mission as it seeks to grow new markets.
We have partnered with the government, with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and we have led several trade missions alongside state visits conducted by the government of Kenya to different countries.
The trade lobby group now says it's back on its feet and ready to undertake its mandate of gathering information, linking local businesses with international counterparts, as well as organizing exhibitions for local businesses will showcase their products, both locally and internationally. So far, the Chamber has been able to sign a memorandum of understanding that allow them to secure donor fundings that has enabled the Chamber settle its debts and is now ready to unveil its new identity before a delegation from the Chamber accompany the President to the African Leadership Forum in the USA. Philip Keitani, KTN Business.
International tourist arrivals in the country declined by 4% between January and May this year compared to the same period last year, according to the Kenya Tourist Board. During the review period, tourist arrivals declined by 17,000 tourists from key source markets. The drop in arrivals follows cases of insecurity, especially at the coast, that led to a number of travel advisories that have affected tourist arrivals. KTB is, however, working on recovery initiatives, including the fourth Magical Kenya Travel Expo that will bring together travel agents, tour operators and hoteliers from around the world.
We are looking to see India coming on board, South Africa, Rwanda, Uganda, and a host of other countries, including Zimbabwe and our neighboring countries. Our target is about 110, and to date we have registered about 60, which is 55% of the total target.